a business model canvas to our students, which will help students to start their own business in their career, which is very helpful to our students. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. And now we can start the session, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Naidu, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact with the young and next generation of engineers. And I myself, being an engineer, I am very keen on interacting, and I hold engineering very highly among most of professions, because when you look at the entire nature itself, it's engineered in some way or the other. So my best wishes goes out to all the young engineers who I believe are going to be passing out very soon. And it's a great initiative by the college to have this kind of interactive sessions to groom and ensure that our young engineers turn into entrepreneurs at some point of time or the other. So as Mr. Naidu introduced me, I have spent about 20 years in on helicopters. I currently am working in the capacity of senior management, and I'm looking after the entire line activity for my company, which is involved into offshore logistics support for oil and gas companies. In nutshell, we provide helicopter services to oil and gas companies. It's a very challenging job because every single day is something new, and we have a good amount of helicopters and good fleet flying for oil and gas commitments on a daily basis. Other than that, I have, after spending 20 years in this industry, there is an increased feel within myself to do something of my own. And that is when I embarked upon this journey of entrepreneurship. And after having gone through many different business portfolios, I decided upon pursuing the solar manufacturing, module manufacturing business, which I plan to set up. Currently, I'm at a stage where I'm looking for investment. And once I have the strategic investment, I have my entire plan in place, which will help me go live in about 6 to 7 months time. So how it started is something very interesting, and I'm sure most of the young engineers would have also gone through the same phase. It all starts as a dream, and a dream of wanting to do something yourself. Then you have to put in a lot of effort to find the right direction. At my age, it's fairly easier because after 20 years of experience, I have a little bit of, I would say, a head start. But for young guns like all you guys, it might be a little bit of an effort. So mentoring is very important for you. Uh, um, Giving the dream a shape and form is the next challenge. I would suggest you don't just stick yourself to one idea, rather have multiple ideas and work on them independently and filter it out and then reach that one goal that you would like to achieve. Business is very different from working as an being a working professional. You have to really widen your scope because it involves not just understanding of your business, different aspects of will involve aspects like marketing, sales, technicals, operations, procurement, stores. Having a holistic view of all of it is a bit of a challenge at your age, but however, it's not impossible. With the right amount of research and right team along, it is very much possible. Uh, I would really suggest young engineers to team up because going alone at your age with almost zero experience, it can be a little, I would say, it will put off strategic investors a little bit. So do team up. You know your friends well. You can, you know their strengths and weaknesses, and that is what will actually take you forward. Do remember that whenever you team up, both the team members should have different set of uh, qualities in them. They should not be of the same. Because if you have two entrepreneurs with good technical background, there can be a conflict of interest as you go along. So, how do you start putting your ideas into place? The first and foremost thing, once you have identified what area are you going to be working on, you must prepare a business plan. Now, what is a business plan? Business plan is basically nothing but you just pour your research, your entire research into this one document, and over a period of time, once you have enough document, enough, you must make it a little bit presentable with key focus on the key parameters which maybe banks, investors, VCs will look into. Uh, I hope you guys are aware of how to make a business plan. Mr. Naidu,
Sir,
are the students aware of it?
no, sir, no, sir. Not still.
Okay.
Sir,
Okay. Okay. If you look up the net, there are a lot of documents available. However, yes, getting the right business plan is it's not given very clearly. But I'll just sum it by saying your business plan has to consist of, to begin with, an executive summary. Now, what is an executive summary? Executive summary is where you pour your research material into it. You have to define what are the opportunities available in the market, why you want to get into it. That is basically the opportunity. Then you have what are the expectations. So expectations are basically but nothing but you have to define this how this business is going to grow year on year. So you have to factor in all the challenges that you might observe during during the build-up phase, and you have to also highlight what are the financial uh, year on year. Basically, give a summary of maybe 3 years or maybe 5 years, wherein you can have it in a graphical format wherein you can show the revenue, the expenses and costs, the net profits or net loss. So this you have to show over a period of at least 3 to 5 years preferably in a graphical format, because figures will not really be understood by everyone. Graphical format is something most people are comfortable with. Once you have the financial projections in place, this is also the place where you project how much funding you will be required and how you're going to be spending it. So, although executive summary is the first part of any business plan, I would suggest you finalize your executive summary at the last, because as see, making a business plan is something that might take about a month, maybe 2 months, because you have to keep researching, keep adding data, and collate all the information in a more presentable form. It is said it is ideal to have a business plan about 40 pages, but I would not restrict you on that. I would say just pour in as much information as you can and then slowly scale it down. Any business plan, you have to show presentations in graphical format, wherein you have to show the total addressable market. How much of the total addressable market are you going to be addressing? And what are the potentials moving ahead? Am I audible enough?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible.
Yeah. Once you have your executive summary, the second main section comes the opportunity. What is an opportunity? Opportunity is where you will define what is the problem that you are trying to resolve. Again, this section has to include a lot of graphical presentations, which will not just give an overview of the market, but you have to bring it down to the point at which you will be solving the problem and what is the potential existing in that problem solving exercise. Yes, eventually everything boils down to how much money you can make. This is where you don't just define the problems, but you also give it the solution. And the solution is basically the what you are coming up with. That is basically the solution here. So, like in my case, the problem area that I can see is that in India, almost 80 to 85% of solar panels are imported. Now, the problem here is that we do not have enough domestic manufacturing capability. And the solution is me entering the market with a small scale but a reasonable sized production line, and I can scale it up further in due course of time and try to resolve the problem that exists. Now here there is another parameter that you have to define, and that is the target market. What is the target market that you're looking at? Target market is also referred to as the total addressable market. Now, what is the total addressable market? When you talk of total addressable market, you have to look at the entire nation. Your business might also be localized to a particular place, or it could be a volume-based business wherein the services can be given anywhere in the nation. So if it is a localized business, then your total addressable market, you have to define what is the total addressable market in your region itself. Once you, how do you calculate a total addressable market? If suppose you are planning to have a product in place to which the real appeal goes to the rural areas. So the total addressable market, let's say in your own region, you have say about 1 lakh people who might be wanting to use the product. So they become your total addressable market into whatever is the costing of the product that you want to come up with.
Sir,
So
are
that
you
is your
sharing
total.
PPT, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, are you sharing any screen, sir?
Can you please come again?
Sir, are you sharing any screen, sir? Are you sharing any PPT like that?
If you want, I can share mine. Just
Yes,
one
sir. Yes, sir.
second.
Please. Yes.
So this is a study which I had done on my project, and so the target for me here is target market. Rather, is what the government of India has set itself, which is basically about 175 gigawatts by 2022. Now, this is total renewable energy capacity, of which about 100 gigawatts is going to be of solar business. The total Indian manufacturing capacity as on date is about 10 gigawatts, and the total imports into India stand at about 85%. Now, why is this particular industry so favorable? Number one, it's at a nascent stage. Number two, I would say it is it's a volume-based business. So you have to build up your volumes over a period of time. However, whatever volumes you start with, the chances of failure are very low. And about the total plan that Ministry of Non-Renewable Energy has placed is to have 49% of total electricity to be generated by renewable energy. Now, this is also going to involve many other ancillary equipments like the batteries, which also have got a great potential, because Indian market is now opening up for the electrical vehicle battery market as well. This is in addition to the battery requirements coming in for the solar space. And if you have been following it, there are a lot of big companies and MNCs which are planning to get into it in the Indian market. Right. So if you look at the left side of the screen, this is where basically the preface of the entire business plan. I had shown you the executive summary, wherein you have to define the opportunities, the expectations, what problems you are foreseeing, and how are you going to solve the problem with your solution. This section also includes the target market. The basically, as I just said, the total addressable market, and you have to define how much of this total addressable market are you going to be addressing, because there could be other players already in the market. If there are no other players already in the market, how unique is your product? And basically, if you look at companies like Indian Railways, now for them, the total addressable market is 100% because they have no competition whatsoever. But in your case, there will be competition. So you have to find out, let's say you have about 1 lakh people you are planning to reach out to. How many players are already in the market? How much capacity do they have? And how much capacity you are coming in with? So if you break it down into percentage, you reach that value, that figure, which becomes your addressable market, the market that you will be addressing. Your entire business plan will revolve around this addressable market, and year on year, how this addressable market is going to grow and how you are going to cater for it. So, which basically means you start at a certain capacity and you have to scale it up eventually. Any business needs to be a scalable model. If you have a very stagnant capacity, eventually it will die out. So make sure that you look for whatever business you want to get into, it should be a scalable model. That's the best way to reach out to the potential investors. Any questions till now? Okay. In the opportunities section itself, there is another section that is the competition. Now, this is where you have to look at, as I said earlier, when you break down the total addressable market to the addressable market, you have to keep into consideration the other players who are there in the industry. And this is where you have to define it, the competition that you have in the market. And as part of the competition, you also have to define your own advantages. That what advantages will be there when you come into the market. Once you have done with the opportunities, you come to the execution part. Execution is basically where you define how you are going to be going about your business. This includes your marketing and sales, how you're going to be go about marketing your products, your operations, basically how you're going to be running your business. Is it a credit-based business or you run it on a no credit basis? There could be another model wherein you pick up stuff on credit and you get back you pass on this credit onto your customers. So you have to clearly define, and this is going to be forming a part of your research. Then you have to also define the milestones, which is basically your timeline.
Sir, excuse me. Sir.
Which is going to be basically your timeline. Yeah, hello.
Sir, are you there? Sir, I'm audible to you. Sir, Ritesh, sir, your voice is not audible to us.
Hello.
Sir, your voice is not audible to us.
Yes, sorry, I do have a network issue. Is it okay now?
Sir, yes, sir. Now it is okay. On the screen, it is showing some drawings, sir. On your
This is not coming
PPT, it's
on.
showing some.
Looks like some student is having fun.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, sir. Sir.
That's okay. That's okay. I used to do that when I was in college.
Yeah, sorry, sir. Sorry.
That's okay. So, see, I'll be going section by section. So if you have any queries, please to put up, or you can have it at the end of the session.
We can have it at the end of the session, sir.
Right, right. Okay. So once you're done with the opportunities, the executions, basically where you define your marketing and sales strategies, then you have to come to the operations section, wherein you will have to decide what is your startup cost, where you are going to be having your facility, and so on and so forth. This is where you have to pour in a lot of research and in terms of what kind of business you're having. There could be different kind of businesses. If it is a service-based business, then your initial costs are comparatively lower. If it is a manufacturing unit, then yes, there is initial cost involved, and you need to identify a location based on the potential. Are you looking at export-oriented business? So if you're looking at export-oriented business, you have to look at the logistics involved. So you will need access to a port or an airport. Uh, Definitely an access to national highway. So all of these aspects comes within the operations tab. Once you're done with the operations tab, you come to the milestones, wherein basically you have to define a timeline on how you're going to go about the business. And now this is not a current timeline I have set, but this is something I had on hand. I thought I can show it to you. This is when you talk of operations, you have to also remember that your product, if it requires any kind of certification, that also needs to be factored into. Then comes the tab of your company's overview, how you're going to be forming your company, how you're going to be structuring it. It could be, yeah. So it could be something as you have to define a tree, a management structure, basically, which needs to be in place. And this management structure will include all the key members of your team.
Rajesh sir, Ritesh sir, Ritesh sir. Hello, Ritesh sir.
Yeah.
Sir, please, you need to disable the annotations part. For to doing that, under the, on the bottom panel, you will find more button there, more icon.
Yes.
In that, you need to disable annotations off. Disable annotations. You need to click on disable annotations. So not recording.
This is
Students, we can able to identify this whoever is doing the annotations. 3A3 roll number. Please do not annotate.
Okay, I have disabled the annotation part.
Sir, once reshare the screen.
Hello.
Sir, once reshare the screen.
Okay.
Yes, sir, done. So now the annotations are done. You can continue.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Sorry, sir, Ritesh, small disturbance. Sorry, sir.
No, no, that's okay. That's okay. So when you talk about the company, you have to define in the company tab your entire overview, your entire structure, the organization structure that you are going to be putting into place. You have to define the roles for each and every individual. Now, this is something I have defined for myself. So you can go about it depending on what kind of business you are going to are planning to get into. Like, for example, a service industry may not require a procurement or a plant manager, but you will certainly require a sales and marketing and HR also might be required. So it is purely up to you individuals what is the business that you're planning to get into. As I said, you can broadly classify into two sections, a service industry or a manufacturing. What you are looking at currently is a manufacturing organization structure. For a service industry, it could be different and it could be smaller as well. So in the companies tab, you basically have to define your organization structure and the key members of your team. If you have some strategic person coming on board, you have to define it in the teams tab, team section, and maybe also define what, give a brief of that individual. It could be his experience, his overall experience, and what exactly is that individual going to be handling, what portfolio is he going to be handling. So this is important because potential investors will have the confidence in your business plan when they see more team members and when they see enough experience coming in your team, on your team rather. So after once you have defined the company's structure, you have to create a very detailed financial plan. Now, this is, I would say, the most important aspect of your business plan. Why is it most important? Most of the private investors, private equity investors, they will not really read through the body as much because they have certain set of research themselves in place. However, they are not very keen on running the operations. They are more interested in how much money can be made out of the business. And this is why your financial forecasting has to be very, very accurate and has to be elaborate. I would suggest you have to make a financial forecasting for at least 3 years. This is potential forecast that you make. If you can make it for 5 years, nothing like it. Normally, most investors will look at any business with a cycle of roughly 5 years. So 5 years does work well, but in case things are very dynamic, you can make it for 3 years also. So when you go to the forecasting, here you have to define your key assumptions. Just 1 minute, sir. Yeah, sorry about that. I had a call coming. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir. We are audible.
Yeah, okay. So this is where you basically, in the forecasting tab, you have to define what is the financial forecasting you make, what are the key assumptions that you're making. Now, there could be any n number of them. These are some of the key assumptions which I have for my business. You have to take into consideration if you're going to be taking a bank loan, what is the interest rate that you would be taking it at, what are the GST percentage that you will be paying, your corporate taxes, what percentage, all of this has to form a part of your financial forecasting. What are the key assumptions? Most businesses will never start at 100% capacity. You have to scale it up over a period of time. And that is how you are going to be doing that is what really will define whether your business will succeed or not. All of these aspects had to be brought into the forecasting tab, and this is what basically where you have to define the taxes that you will be paying, how much will be the direct costing you will be having, and all the key assumptions for your business regarding the finances need to be jotted down here. The second breakdown for the financial plan is the financing aspect. How much financing you need, how much funds you need, and how are you going to be utilizing your funds. So if you, let's say you need funds for a facility build up, or you need to have funds for support equipments or building up your entire business, all of this needs to be jotted down, just a brief of it, not in detail. Is most important. If it's a self-funded, nothing like it. If it is not, then you need to define here what is the source of funding that you're going to be utilizing. Then in this very tab, you need to be defining your project's profit and loss statement. What are your direct costs? What is your total turnaround for the year? What is your total turnover for the year, and how much profit loss you will be making? Now, all of this in the appendix section, they are basically a part of the financial statement itself, more in detail, going month on month, year on by year on. Now, this is basically what a business plan will broadly include. One is your executive summary, the opportunities that you will be having, how you are going to be executing it, your company's framework, and your financial planning. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are
Yes,
audible.
yes.
Yeah. So this is what I have as far as business plan is concerned, how you're going to be structuring your business plan. If you have any questions on this, please kindly put it forth.
Students, do you have any questions? You can forward. You can raise your hand so that Dinesh sir will bring it. So please continue, sir. At the last of the last, at last we'll do this.
I've already finished the presentation for the business plan.
Yes, sir.
If there are any specific questions, then I can actually address it, because I would like to hear it from the students who want to, get onto this entrepreneurship journey themselves. So one-on-one, maybe we can have a much better session.
Yes, sir. Yes. Students, you can come forward with your ideas, or you can ask any question regarding the business startup, how to step into the entrepreneurship. If you have any type of ideas, you can ask us. Sir is going to give some brief introduction about that. You can come forward. Girish sir, you can mute them if any student raise their hands. Girish sir.
Sir, I'm making it. I'm making it. If anyone raise hands, I'll unmute them.
Okay, okay. Students, you can raise your hands if you have any questions regarding the business plan, or you can ask any type of questions regarding this business, how to start up entrepreneurship like this. Girish sir, any MBA students in this session?
No MBA student is involved.
So students, you can ask any questions regarding this.
You can even type it in the chat box if you want.
Students, if you're you can write in the chat box also if you have any questions. You can write it on the chat box also.
At a path.
Sir, we have a question in the chat box. I think it is relevant or not, I don't know.
Okay, I can see there's a question where to start a startup. Well, to answer this, it really depends upon what is the business that you want to get into. It could be a local based business, or it could be something that might have a national level market, or there could be something that can have a national as well as an international level market. So if, let's say, if you are planning to address some problem that you know of in your own locality, then yes, your startup will have to be located in your own locality. That is the best way to start. And then maybe you can move it on and take it to other places as well. So to answer your question, where to start a startup, it purely depends upon your business idea. If your business is going to be a localized business in your own locality, then yes, your startup will have to be located in your own locality. Please do remember, most startups do not start on a big scale. So if you are low on funding, low on cost, your home can be the place where you start your startup. If it's an app-based thing, if it's a service that you want to start with, you can start up even from your own place, and then move on. As your business catches up, you can move on to a fixed location. But I would not recommend buying a place out to start your startup. I would rather suggest to have a startup in a rented place. If it is not your own home, have it at a rented place, so that you don't you have an asset light model. Basically, you don't really have too many liabilities on your head, and at the same time you can start your business. As it grows, then you can add up assets to it. Okay. Okay, the next question I can see is how to identify our partners. That's a very good question, and it's believe me, it's a question that can make or break your business. Identifying the right partner is absolutely crucial. You can have a very grand business plan, but you don't have the right partner along with you, your business may not succeed. First and foremost, remember, your business should not have on the higher side, there should not be more than 4 or 5 partners. Why I say 4 or 5 partners? Because any business, there will always be an equity distribution. And there is someone at least who needs to be having a majority stake. This is important because decision making depends on it. So if you have, let's say, 4 or 5 rather partners, and everybody coming in with the same equity into your business, that means there is going to be a 20% equity distribution. So 20% equity distribution with no one owning a major stake, there will be problems in decision making, because you will not be able to take the correct decision without all the 5 of them concurring with it. So ideally, you should have maybe 2 people, so that you can have different equity distribution, one coming in with a major equity and one with a minor equity. The second aspect that you need to be very clear about is that both the partners coming into, or this group of partners coming into the business, should have different a different set of qualities in them. Like, for example, if the main owner is technically sound, so he looks after the technicalities of things. The other chap could be looking after operations, There could be a third person who is good at marketing, someone with good oratory skills, who can speak well, and who communicates well. You can very well identify them among your friends, because you guys have grown together at least for the last 3 to 4 years. So your friends well enough. okay, you have a person, you have a friend who's very good at communicating with people. He's able to convince people. He has got good PR skills. Such people are required for sales and marketing. At the same time, you could have someone with a very good engineering knowledge, who keeps making things by himself. We can make him the technical head. Like that. Some people could be very good at finance. So you can have him handling the operations of your company. So to sum it up, I would say, to identify the partners, one, your partner should not be having the same skill set as you have, because what happens in that case is there could be conflict of interest coming up at a later stage. So preferably, the partners should be having different skill sets. This will ensure that you guys, your business will grow, because you have the technical expertise, somebody else is coming with the marketing expertise, and everybody is going to put in their best, and there will be no conflict of interest. So overall, your business, your company will grow faster. And sometimes you might have someone who is a little bit more conservative, other person is more dynamic. So that let the dynamic person take the lead, because your company needs to grow. There is a possibility of failure, which you have to mitigate by proper discussions beforehand. But yes, give due respect to your partners. Preferably, your partner should be someone coming in with a different skill set, and someone who is okay with the stakeholding in the company.
Any other questions, students? Students, you can use this opportunity to ask your questions. It's a rare opportunity you cannot get afterwards.
Okay, till the time we get the next question, I would like to share some and give an insight to all these students on what is the value of an engineer in the market. You know, in due course of looking out for investments, I have been speaking to many investors. One thing common I found about all of them was that although they did have the money in their pockets, they did not have the technical know-how to run a business. And that is where our engineers actually come in. You know, over the last couple of decades, there has been a lot of buzz around the service industry, with a lot of venture capitalists coming into the market, and billions of dollars pouring into the country. It may not be visible as such, but it is actually coming in. with the latest push by the government towards a manufacturing setup, which used to be the backbone of the Indian economy, uh, it is going to be increasingly, there is going to be an increasing push coming towards that sector, and that is where engineers will be required, engineers and management students will be required. Because what has happened in the last couple of decades is that a mechanical engineer also ends up into a software company, which is a little unfortunate in my opinion, because his skill sets are not really used that well in a software industry, software atmosphere. However, there is going to be an increased opportunity. In my opinion, the decades moving ahead will be the decades for engineers and graduates, MBA students, to do justice to their qualifications. And I think you guys are passing out at the right time. So uh, please don't stop dreaming, and look for the right opportunity. There are a whole lot of opportunities around in the manufacturing sector as well, which I would really strongly suggest that you guys look into. But yes, it is also important that you mitigate your lack of experience with the right kind of mentoring, which Professor Naidu and his team, this college rather, is doing a wonderful job at. So please do keep dreaming, and you can certainly make something happen. I'm sure of it. I think there is one question which has come. So what are the strategies we need to follow to start a startup, and how to invest money on a startup? Uh, the strategy, I would say, the more time you spend at the planning stage, the lesser the chances of you failing in your business. It's absolutely crucial that you spend enough time at the planning stage. One of the very potent questions which many investors do ask is, what are the perceived risks? What are the risks you see for your business? Now, it's a very, very important study, and you must do it as part of your business plan. And that is to identify your possible competitors in the market. What is it? How will they react when you enter the market? Understanding this is very important, and that will also help you in positioning yourself in such a way that even with the existing competitor being in the market and having an edge over you, you can gain over him in due course of time. So study for the perceived risk, study of the total addressable market, how you're going to be addressing and how you're going to be making yourself different from the existing companies. I think these are the key strategies you need to look at. As far as investing money on a startup is concerned, I would strongly recommend do so only after you have spent enough time researching your plan, and your financial planning, your financial forecastings have to be rock solid. Please do have it vetted, validated by somebody else whom you trust. Never disclose your business plan to anyone whom you do not trust, because there are a lot of people in the market who will want to take away your business plan and start themselves. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is true. So keep it in a very close, very tight circle. Keep it to yourself. Keep talking to people, keep trying to meet people, so that you have more insight into how to run your operations, how to structure your business, where you can raise the finances from, how you can spend the finances. So all these strategies will come because you guys are very young and you don't have experience as such. So in short, you need mentoring, a lot of it. So your college, your professors will be good mentors for you. You can talk to maybe your friends who have already done something in their lives. They will, I'm sure, will be happy to help you out. So as far as investing money is concerned, put in your money only once you are absolutely sure. I was asked to put in some money to book up a place which I was not very convinced about. I had a set of consultants who had asked me to do so. I didn't say no to them initially, but there was something within me which was not very convinced about it. And I went back and I spoke to a couple more other people who are either in the stage of raising finances themselves or have some knowledge about the finances and how things work. So, and one thing that came out was that I don't need to invest money at that stage. And eventually I did not. So taking a second and a third opinion is very important. If your heart says you're not convinced about this expense, please take a step back. Do not enter into it unless you are absolutely convinced about it, because at your age you will be mostly bootstrapping from your parents, your friends, your family members, and it would not be nice to put that money to waste. So as far as strategy is concerned, as I said, spend as much time on the in the at the planning stage. You can simulate your finances by when you once you know your direct cost, once you know your investment that is going to be required to run the business, any working capital required, simulate it on an Excel sheet or on a software. Run it multiple times, run it through multiple worst case scenarios. You have to find that rock bottom, the break even for your business. That will give you how much profitable your business is going to be, and is it really worth doing that business. So you have to simulate it. You have to find out what are the direct costs, what is the working capital that you require, and you simulate it in such a way that you find the worst case scenario wherein you keep your profit margins low or even maybe go a little negative, to find what is that, the bottom line, which the bare minimum that you need to make to sustain your business. I think having an insight of it, once you have an insight of that break even point, which will come once you start simulating the finances, I think I would say at least 60 to 70% success rate is guaranteed. Any more questions, students?
Students, any more questions?
Maybe the faculty team can put up some questions, in case the students are not that willing to.
Yeah. Any questions from faculty?
Okay, I'll just touch upon one more subject, that is about raising of investments for your business. Uh, there are uh, broadly three categories under which you can raise investments, four rather. One is bootstrapping, that is through your friends and families. Most of the startups on a small scale, start like that. The second is, if you have a good enough product, good enough plan, maybe you can go to a venture capitalist. But however, the competition is quite fierce over there. The third is through private equity. You have a strategic investor who's ready to invest into your plan, into your idea. And the fourth is obviously the banking route, which is a more difficult route because they expect you to bring in some collateral, which may not always be possible for all. Now, I'll just elaborate a little bit on each and every single point. The first being about bootstrapping. Now, this is one of the most secure ways of starting a business. However, it does not substitute anything regarding the business plan and the simulations, financial simulations that one needs to make to ensure that your business does not fail. Because as I said earlier, you're going to be using your family's money, hard-earned money. So you have to give them due regards to it, and make it work. That's more important. The second, bootstrapping will help you start on a smaller scale, but eventually, once you start up, you will require fundings to grow in scale. And that is where the remaining three come in. The best case scenario among all three would be if you get a strategic, private investor who's ready to put money into your idea. This is the best case scenario because they at least have the patience and orientation towards you and your business plan, and there'll be less pressure on the individual to perform rather than going to the remaining ones. Venture capitalists, you need to understand how they function. There's a lot of money coming in through this route into startups, but one fact which you must know is that over a period of time, you are going to lose control of your company. That's basically how venture capitalism works. Venture capitalism normally works on a cycle on a 7-year cycle. How it works? Well, there are private equity investors who park their money and become venture partners with these venture capitalist investors, and the VCs in turn invest into your business, and they want to see your business grow exponentially over a period of time so that they can maximize the returns for their investors, their partners. Normally they follow a 7-year cycle wherein a fund has a life of 7 years. So within 7 years, they will remain invested in your business. They will force you to expand and keep diluting your equity investment, your stakes in the company, to bring in more funds. So as I said, over a period of time, your company will grow. However, you will certainly lose control over your business. But that's how most businesses, service businesses, are run nowadays. When you have an idea, you have a product, you build upon it, you bring in a venture capitalist, you bring in investment through that route, expand, and you go in for next seed of funding, seed A, seed B, seed C, and eventually you might list your company, where your company then gets bought over by a bigger player in the market. You will certainly make money, but as I said, you will lose control over your company. But then if you are mentally prepared for it, nothing like it. Banking sector, which is a traditional method, will depend more on you bringing in collateral. They, without collateral, banks will normally not give money unless it is under some government scheme. Again, tapping into the government scheme will require a good amount of know-how, and you will need to have a running business in place, because they would like to see a balance sheet over there. There are certain schemes under which you will get funding from the banks as well. Uh, uh, but I'm not sure. You'll have to check up with your local authorities on that. But yes, it's an interest based. Basically, you'll have to pay an EMI, so you have to factor it into your direct costs. Again, as I said, how to strategize? Please do simulate your finances, your expenses. Find that rock bottom, find that break even point. You always need to break your bigger targets into smaller targets. It could be an annual target. You have to break it down into monthly targets and further break it down into daily targets. Small targets are easier to manage than the bigger targets. When you look at the bigger picture, it might be a little overwhelming. However, when you break it down into smaller targets, it's more easier to achieve it and it's less stressful. And once you have spent enough time simulating your financials, you'll be that much more confident when your actual business starts functioning, and you will have a better understanding and a better control over your business. So do simulate it, have it vetted by people whom you trust, people who understand finances. You will mostly you will find it among your friends, colleagues, maybe the faculty team, mentors who are mentoring you right now. They are your best guide, and make maximum use of it in terms of, because they have the experience, they have seen it themselves, they have seen many businesses come up, small scale maybe, but yes, they know what goes into it. So do take best utilization of the experience that is existing within your college and within your immediate circle. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a great opportunity for our students to have a session with you. You have discussed a brief model of a business model canvas, like that executive summary, opportunities, finance, and every point you have touched in the business model canvas. Thank you very much for your patience session and giving us answering our students, sir. And I also thank all the faculty fraternity who cooperated to 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 make a grand success of this session. And I also thank Professor in charge, so Dr. Satish Kumar Garu, for giving these opportunities to conduct these seminars. Sir Ritesh sir, Professor Dr. Satish Kumar Garu is in charge of all these activities, sir. He is a ECE department and he is professor in charge for all these activities, sir.
Okay.
Sir, yeah,
So I have also typed in this a website link, live, basically liveplan.com. This is for all who want to make their business plan. Do visit this website. It's a subscription based website with a nominal fees of maybe about 1400 or 1500 rupees per quarter, but it's a beautiful website wherein all the aspects that I discussed with you about the business plan, you can make it yourself, you can build your finances. You don't need a CA to do it for you. You can do it yourself. And the more you do it yourself, the better, because it'll give you a very good command over your own subject. So do visit this website. I built my business plan on this. I thought I'll share it with you guys. You can go ahead. It's a very beautiful, very informative, and you can simulate as many times as you want. So this is my tip on how to build your business plan and how to go about it, and there are some examples also given there. So you can go through it. Other than that, if there is any query, I'm available on LinkedIn and WhatsApp. You can ping me anytime. And Mr. Naidu has my LinkedIn profile as well. So yeah, that's it from me.
yes, sir. I will share the WhatsApp number also if any students needs really.
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful session, sir. We have cleared a lot of questions And I think this session has enthusiastic the students to become a starter entrepreneurs, now to think themselves to be an entrepreneur. I think students have utilized this session, and I also thank all the team, AIC team for cooperating with this session. And I especially thank Ritesh sir for sparing your valuable time with us, sir. It is our item institution. We always be gratitude to your session, sir, and always touch with you in a different with, for clearing different problems, sir. If any students will ask us, we will take your suggestions, sir. It may help to the students. Sir. Thank you, sir. And I hope you will be touch with us, sir. We always be in touch with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Naidu. Same from my side. And I would love to meet and interact with your students as well. If they have any kind of queries, if I can be of any help to them, I would certainly, help them out in whatever way possible, right from selection of the project or anything which I can help them out with. From my side, it's been a great experience too. I've never really, hosted such a big event. I would call it an event because there were more than 116 participants here. So I have always held engineers in very high regards because I myself am one, and I know what we can do is something many people with very deep pockets also cannot achieve. So keep dreaming, keep thinking, keep planning. There is definitely a very big universe out there which you are yet to conquer. Eventually, I would love to see all of you guys becoming entrepreneurs, at some point of time or the other. Thank you very much, Professor Naidu, for giving me this opportunity and bringing me on board here. And I surely look forward to interacting with you guys anytime in future. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you very much. Thank you all. The session ends now. Thank you.
Yeah.